BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe. It is week 358. It is label week and it is Blue Underground week. So I bring you today from my DVD, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Grau film from 1974 with, I think, 16 alternative titles, which include, but to leave out some, The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Most of you will know. Don't Open a Window. Breakfast at the Manchester Morgue, I think, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. This, I think, from what I've seen, is the best artwork, man. I'm glad the Blue Underground, the old DVD, ran with this artwork, and eventually I'll probably, upgrade and whatnot. But Blue Underground, man, opens up with a nice little interview with Grau, which he sort of lays out some of his motivation and some of his hopes for his audience, and then just TV spots and whatnot. There's nothing really big on this release, although it looks good. It's a nice Blue Underground release. But I should have looked beforehand, but there is a release coming down the pike for this film that you need to be on the lookout for. I think the pre-order may already be up for it. I can't remember who's releasing it. I'm not just going to assume it's Blue Underground, but I know there's another release, and it looks pretty fantastic. So this is sort of a stripped down, but it's nice, man. I mean, the artwork, the cover, whatnot, good stuff, man, from 1974. So really, if you've never seen Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, really, the story just simply revolves around, really, our protagonist, our main guy here, played by Ray Lovelock, of course, George. And, starts off, somewhat innocently. He manages an antique shop. He's closing up pretty quickly, and he's going to leave out of Manchester and head out to the countryside. He's got a house out there, him and his buddies. They're going to be fixing it up and whatnot. And on his way out there, though, barely outside of Manchester, he stops at the gas station, and this girl who's just parked in front of him, without realizing it, has put into reverse and runs over his motorbike. So it's damaged. It's going to take a while to get the needed parts. So he pretty much strikes a deal with her. Take me, Windermere, take me to where I'm going. On the way, she's got other things we'll learn too. She's on her way to her sister's. She's got a sort of deal made with her brother-in-law that her sister needs to basically be committed, taken to the hospital. She has a heroin addiction. And so she's on her way out there, and so these two characters, they sort of, collide. And a lot of things are happening in the countryside. A lot of things are happening in the city as well. As he's leaving his antique shop on his motorbike, you'll get glimpses of a lot of weird things, like pollution running rampant, just ecological problems. Some people are wearing face masks, which makes it really relevant to today, right? So you just get this idea that there are things that are happening, even on the radio as they're in the car. You get this idea that things are happening. But once they leave the gas station, and he's pretty much in charge, which is an interesting thing here. The authority, this isn't an anti-authoritarian film, and really the main antagonist ends up being a detective who basically has a very, very low opinion of our hero George, simply because he just refers to him as a hippie, and he has no respect for hippies. But what's interesting about this authority structure and this sort of, contrasting, George is sort of tucked between how the police detective looks down on him, but yet how he looks down on Edna, the girl who hits his bike. Now, he may have some moral high ground in this, but he really does talk down to her and treat her in a way that just really makes it ironic that on the one side he hates being treated by, the detective and whatnot. He's very anti-authoritarian in terms of his outlook, how he views the police. But then you wonder how he looks down upon Edna, and is this view towards all women? So I mean, there's just a lot of weird things going on here. In terms of the dead, you basically at the center of this, you have the Department of Agriculture is testing out a new anti or pest control weapon, and basically using sound waves and whatnot. It basically creates in an environment where insects will unleash on themselves, killing anything and everything. Thus, you get rid of your pests and your crops grow, you know, without any hindrance. This, though, will have a detrimental effect on what will be really a weakened nervous system. And on the one side of this equation, you have little babies whose nervous system aren't quite well there, and of course, the dead who are newly deceased. And so there just does happen to create a world where a lot of stuff, man, is about to just break out. And the way the movie ends, it gives way somewhat to a future, a very bleak one, where this problem is only going to get detrimentally worse. And so, I mean, it's an interesting film. Now, I also want to mention, too, the girl Cristina Galbo, who plays Edna, and, of course, Arthur Kennedy as our inspector, and Fernando Hilbeck is Guthrie the Looney. And what a title of the movie that would have been, right? Guthrie the Looney. Guthrie is our main zombie, and he plays up a big portion of zombie time early on. But I also want to just highlight for a minute, and I know this is label week, you know, but what makes this film really fascinating to me is this is 1974, right? Night has come out in 68, Dawn's coming out in 78, and in 74, what do you got around this film? You got Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, you've got the Tombs of the Blind Dead are starting to come out, but really, you know, the dead is just starting to take shape, so to speak. But in this film, 1974, Grau employs, his editor is Tomasi, and his special effects is Giannato De Rossi, and Edmondo Amati will produce this film. Now, what's fascinating is Amati as producer and Tomasi as editor will both work with Fulci on Woman in a Lizard Skin in 71. In 74, they'll go to work with Grau, but then Giannato De Rossi comes on in terms of visual effects and makeup special effects. But in 1979, those three will re-team up with a slew of others with Lucio Fulci in 79 for the breakout zombie film, Italy's breakout zombie film, of course, Zombie, that will be capitalizing on, of course, George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which is released in Europe as Zombie. So, I know, a lot to take in, right? But the point that gets me going, man, is this film, man. Now, this is a Italian, but it is a Spanish, English production, but it's an Italian-produced film. So it's sort of a smorgasbord of just, it really is a Spanish view of the English countryside, which makes it for an interesting film. Maybe irritating if you're English, but in viewing it. But it is you know, it is maintained cult status. I think this film in 74, like Night of the Living Dead, also holds a special place for whom it may have influenced. Now, when you got a couple guys who will work on this film, and later on in 79 will work or team up with Fulci on Zombie, and then be with him through his heyday, you know, including the Gates of Hell trilogy. This is a very, very special moment in time, because you've got people coming together that will eventually go off and do insanely huge things. So, if you've never paid much of attention, now this is also a video nasty film too. Found its way in the video nasties. Now, the gore may not live anywhere near up to the zombie level, but it has its great moments, has its creepy moments. Recently watched this in black and white with Glenn from Bay of Blood. That will hopefully be coming up down the road, that commentary via black and white. It's got its unsettling moments, its creepy moments, but it's also got a lot to wonder about. And it's a film that has definitely grown on me over time, and I really, really appreciate this film and everything that it strives to be and do. And it's a little bit of an earlier look at Giannato De Rossi, and of course, you know, he'll go on to direct his own film, Killer Crocodile, too, for DeAngelis, which is pretty cool. But so, a lot here, man. A lot here to chew on, to soak up, to wonder upon, think about. at week 358, Blue Underground week, Label week. By the end of the month, it'll be theme week, a title with the word house in it. It's my month, so that's pretty cool. Appreciate everyone's views, appreciate your feedback, the comments, hitting the like button. Appreciate just the time you spend checking out the videos here at BodyBags each and every single day. And what a crew that we've got here Monday through Sunday, being led by our fearless president, of course, James Caux. So that'll wrap it up, I guess. Week 358, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. If you've not seen this, or if you have, and this is the transfer you have, the edition you have, keep a lookout for that new one that's coming out down the pike. Believe that pre-order is up. So, as always, man, as always, we leave these or end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream.